Good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar on water safety for everyone with Coach Kie, who will be joining us shortly. While we're waiting for Coach Kie, I'll give you a little bit of information on DRCVI, Disability Rights Center of the Virgin Islands. We are a protection and advocacy agency where we promote the rights of individuals with disabilities, ensuring that they are not abused, there's no neglect, and their rights are not violated. We provide these services through two offices, one in St. Croix. We are next to the old Kmart West, if you're traveling west on the left side of the road. And we are in Havenside in St. Thomas. Our number is 340-772-1200, and that gets you to either offices or St. Thomas 340-776-4303. And that's just some housekeeping things. As I mentioned before, we are part of a network of protection and advocacy agencies established by an act of Congress through the US and all of the territories. So we are made up of 57 protection and advocacy agencies. And not only do we provide those types of services in terms of rights violation, abuse, neglect to everybody who has a disability, but we also provide outreach. We provide self-advocacy. We provide training. We are also a parent center through a separate sort of funding from the Department of Education, Federal Department of Education, where we function as a center for young people and for parents and families with children. Our core services, although it includes, as I mentioned, legal representation, we do a lot of collaborative work with their sister not-for-profits, like VIU said, Independent Living. We work with the DD Council when there was one, and ARP, any organization, and we work with government agencies, Department of Human Services, Department of Health, Department of Education, to bring forward the plight of individuals with disabilities. Today, we're fortunate to have Coach Kie come on to provide us information with regards to water safety, especially for people with disabilities, and especially during this time of year when young children are out and about on the beaches because they're on holiday. Oh, here comes Coach Kie. Welcome. I was just going over a few things for us, and I'll let you jump in
Yes, of course.
as you're ready. Let me get to some housekeeping things. If you have a question, you can raise your hands, and we have somebody online who will be able to take your question and pass those questions on. We also have a chat that you can, if you're too shy to put your hand up and ask, you can actually type in a question for Coach Kie. Joining me, three other members of my team. Dawn O'Brien, she's an advocate. She's in the St. Croix office. Or Rebecca Kubler, she's our communications manager. Kish McCreaky is behind the scenes, and she'll be fielding all of your raised hand and all of your questions in the chat. So Coach Kie is somebody that grew up on St. Croix, especially Frederickstead, so she knows that island well. She knows all the good swimming spots too. So you could reach out to her. Um, and she's somebody that has seen a lot in terms of water safety and what needs and need not happen when you decide to go into the water. Coach Kie?
Sorry, I am not tech savvy at all. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. My name is Coach Kie, also known as as Kie Ransom. I have been a water safety instructor, which just means swim lesson instructor for 40 years. Um, I have taught for the Red Cross for that entire time. I am a lifeguard instructor, water safety instructor and trainer, CPR and first aid, AED trainer. I have done a lot of things over my lifetime, but swimming has always been something that I have enjoyed. I learned to swim right in Frederickstead at People's Beach, which is Port Frederick Beach, right across from Pauley Joseph Stadium in West. Um, when I was a baby, I could swim before I could walk. So, lifelong swimmer. I think that it is super important as a life skill that you learn to swim. Also, that for our island community, it is super important to keep our children safe. You will hear me use the phrase in, on, and around the water throughout my presentation. Um, that means that we are surrounded by water on every side. Plus, we have pools, salt ponds, the boardwalk, you name it, beaches, Candon. So we have a lot of places that have a lot of water, and we need to make sure that we are diligent every single day um, with our water safety. So I have put together, at the request of the disability rights community advocates, for essential guidelines for parents and children for water safety. Um, does anybody have any questions? I can't see the chat, so
Okay, I
all
don't
right.
see any in the chat. So
Okay,
no
great.
questions yet.
All right, can we
Sorry,
go
there
to
is
the
a
next?
question from
Oh,
There's
sure.
somebody
Florence.
with their
Hodge,
hands.
Hi,
you can go ahead.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Um, my daughter, she's 13 years old, she's autistic. She
Yes,
loves
ma'am.
the water,
Hmm.
but she doesn't know how to swim. Um, I'm in the process of she was taking swimming classes, but the lady went away. Last year, between last year and this year, she had seizures 2 times. Um, since then, I've been having her like when she go to the beach wear life vest. If God forbid that she gets a seizure when we are in the water,
Correct.
how do I go about dealing with that for her safety?
So you've already done one of the best things, which is give her a life jacket that she can't get off. Um, when you're having a seizure, you know that the proper protocol is just to remove anything away from the person that's having the seizure, not to hold them down or restrain them, just try and keep them safe from hurting themselves. In the water, it's super important that you keep their head above the water. Um, there's really nothing you can do except make sure that she stays above the water so she can stay breathing. Um, I would suggest that you minimize the things that might be causing the seizure, which means that you make sure that she stays hydrated, that she's eating a high protein diet, um, that she's not getting too much sun exposure. So making sure that she has a hat, sunglasses, that she's in the shade. If you can provide her shade in the water, that's, a big hat.
Okay, I don't even know. I don't even know why she's getting. I don't know why she's getting the seizures.
I
So
understand,
thank
but a
God
lot of
it's only
times
2 times she had it, which I'm grateful for that. I'm hoping that we don't get it a third time.
I
My
agree
other
with you.
question is also too, because I got I don't remember what size it is. She's a slim teenager. I
Hmm.
don't remember the size that I did buy, but to me, I feel as if it's not as if the life vest is not fitting her properly. So how can I adjust it? Because to me, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but to me, I don't feel like it's fitting her properly.
Okay, so we're going to go over flotation devices in my
Okay.
presentation, and I'll make sure to go over how to make sure that you're sizing and getting the correct fit. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? All right, if we can go to the next slide, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, sorry.
So this is just an overview of what we're going to go over. Some of the rules for water safety, never swimming alone, the importance of the right swimwear, use of flotation devices, establishing clear boundaries, and practicing water familiarization. We can go to the next slide. If there's anything that you would like me to go over, please stop me so we can have that conversation. So, we never swim alone, but we never swim alone for one valuable reason. You never know what can happen in the water. We want to make sure that somebody knows that we've gone in the water and that person needs to be an adult. That means that if you have children, you never leave children in the care of other children. Children don't recognize what an aquatic emergency looks like, meaning that they don't know if the child is playing or if they're not. An adult has better discernment, meaning they can recognize if the child might be in trouble instead of just playing. Especially if it's your child, you know if your child is, that's the way they swim, or if they're, playing, if they're really in trouble. As a lifeguard, I have a really hard time judging whether or not somebody's really in trouble. I'm always going to go and err on the side of caution. It's really important that if your child is in a flotation device or has a floaty, that you never leave them alone. Even the best of swimmers can get into trouble either with a rip current, an undertow, they can catch a cramp. If they've been drinking, it slows your reaction time and you can cause an accident. We want to make sure that we know that that is the first rule of water safety, is that you never swim alone. Next slide.
Sorry, I keep on going the wrong way.
It's okay. So I've been asked to make sure that I highlight sensory considerations for water safety for children that are on the spectrum. I really don't like the term on the spectrum, but for lack of a better term, we're going to use that one today. Temperature sensitivity with children that are on the spectrum may be highly sensitive to water temperature. That means that they may react poorly to water that is too cold, and that can be for swimming lessons, for just going to the beach. It can trigger poor reactions, or it can make them shut down. We want to make sure that we are aware, even if the water is too warm, they can get dehydrated very quickly. And that goes for all children, not just children that are on the spectrum. You always want to make sure that the water, you test the water to see if it is too cold. If it's too cold for you, generally speaking, it's too cold for the kids. You want to limit the amount of time that they're in the water. Give them breaks, make sure that they're coming to the beach or the side of the pool and getting some sun. Make sure that you have your towels ready to wipe them off. Reducing pool noise. This is really hard for us here because we don't necessarily have a lot of pools, but pools echo really badly. The child in the photo has on headphones in the water. That may not really be something that we do necessarily, but there are earplugs. Loud pool environments or beaches with beach parties that have loud music is a thing here. We want to make sure that we are aware of what could be a trigger for children who have sensory issues and make sure that you take that into consideration. flags flapping, water splashing, kids screaming sometimes can really overload the senses and overstimulate them. So smaller swim times, swimming when you know that it's not going to be a big bather load at the beach. Opting to come earlier in the beach party when the DJ is setting up so that the kids get to swim. These are all really important things to make sure that your child stays happy. Predictable swim routines. If you establish a pre-swim routine, it means that your child knows that you're going to leave them in the car and you're going to set up your swim area and then you're going to allow them to get out, or that they have to sit in a chair before they're allowed to go and get in the water. This helps keep your children safe. You want to make sure that you also have a post routine, which means that you include rinse water, setting out dry clothes, having the towels ready. These all help with the timing of the swim or swim lessons or going to a pool. This helps your child know what they're doing as far as being exposed to water. It gives you an opportunity to have a stop to make sure that they know that they are safe in, on, and around the water. A lot of times they just run for the water real quick and you haven't even taken your cover up off. You want to make sure that you're giving your child an opportunity to be able to follow your rules or the pool rules when you're in, on, or around the water. Does anybody have any questions about this slide? Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. Oh, one back. So choosing the best color for easy identification of your swimmer underwater is more important than you think. If you look at the visual on the slide, you will see that there are different colors of swimsuits. I always suggest that you pick pink, highlighter yellow, or green, red, something super bright, because if you look at the swimsuits under the water, they're really hard to pick out. We are fortunate to have some of the clearest water in the world. This also tracks for our swimsuits here. It also helps you identify where your child is in the water or on the beach. So it is really important and a safety aspect that not a lot of parents think about. Why they make swimsuits in white or blue is crazy to me. You can't even see them under the water. So I want to make sure that I highlight that it is important that you choose the right swimwear for your children. Speaking of swimwear, we don't want any jeans pants, no cotton t-shirts. They absorb the water and they are very heavy. That also poses a safety risk. So you want to make sure that you're using dry fit or polyester, nylon, or lycra swimwear. As far as shorts are concerned, same materials. Dry fit dries really quickly. It does not absorb any water, and it's really the best material. It also, a lot of them have some coverage, so you don't have to fight with sunscreen. Does anybody have any questions about the swimwear? Awesome. We can move to the next slide. Okay, flotation devices. Not all flotation aids are created equal. All of them require adult supervision. It's really important to know, does it deflate? If you inflate it, it can deflate, and it can deflate at any time. Sometimes the stopper comes out. Sometimes the kids create a hole in it by biting it. Sometimes it's defective. We want to make sure, especially with water wings and life jackets, that they are EVA foam, that they are closed-celled foam, so it does not absorb any water. If you look at the pictures, the girl in the donut, that is my nemesis, because if she goes underwater, you can't see her underneath that floating device. You don't know if she flips over, can she right herself back up? Is she strong enough to do that? Those deflate all the time, and children get blown out here into the ocean, and you'll never be able to catch anything that is going across the top of the water because you're moving as fast as whatever is floating. So I don't recommend any of those. The pool noodle is a great tool, but it needs adult supervision, meaning you should always be within an arm's length of your child if they are in a flotation device. It's really important, can your swimmer remove it? If you want them in a flotation device, you need to make sure that they cannot take it off. If you do take it off, they need to make sure that they understand that they do not have it on. And when they go and get back in the water, they're not going to be able to do the same skills as if they had their flotation device on. In the corner, the right bottom corner, there's a picture of a life jacket. That is a type 3 PFD, which is a personal flotation device. You want to make sure that it is a type 3 personal flotation device, because it always rates the swimmer head side up. That is super important. They're also based on the weight, not the size. So the woman that asked about the sizing for her daughter's life jacket, you need to make sure that you are going by weight, not by size, that it does not come up over her chin because she can't get her head up. They make the ones that have straps that go between their legs for toddlers. Those are super important. It also helps stay where it needs to stay. You need to make sure that all straps are buckled and pulled snug, because once they get in the water will relax the material and they'll be able to move around. So you want to make sure that it's snugged up. Even if they have on a life jacket that rights them head side up, you want to make sure that an adult is always within arm's reach, to make sure that if they are in trouble or can't right themselves, that you are there to help. It's super important, especially with the holiday coming up, that we don't just give our children anything and let them go in the water without an adult being there. Every time I go to the beach, I rescue a child. Either they've slipped off the noodle, they've gone further down the beach than their parents know and decided to get into the water and cannot find their footing. So if your child is sensitive to certain materials when it comes to the vest or clothes, they make a variety of different kinds of materials. I will say that Lycra is the most easily to break down. So if you have a rash guard that is Lycra, which means that it's compression based, it's tight, it's has a lot of stretch to it. If you wash it and dry it in the dryer, it breaks the fibers and will cause the shirt to break down over time. You always want to wash in cold water on delicate and then hang dry all of your swimwear. If your child is sensitive to the materials, first you can put on, they make friction sticks where you can put it on their chest and their back so that the shirt does not rub. If you get polyester, it usually wears a lot better. If it's loose, it does not give the same abrasion. They also make brushed dry fit shirts for swim that are much softer than a regular rash guard. The vest, if it rubs under or around, usually it means that it's not sized correctly. If the straps are too tight through their legs, you need to make sure that it is sized correctly. And it does not have to be so snug that it is rubbing against their skin. You can also look for, they make different types of fittings for the noodle, so you can have them use the noodle. The puddle jumper is a different design. It has a shirt top and it clicks in the back. It has foam core water wings and a chest plate, which means it's always going to write them head side up, and they cannot take it off, which is super important. It's also really important that you go by weight and not what you think their size is. Does anybody else have any questions? Miss Peterson, I hope I answered your question.
Oh, I had a question.
Okay.
I don't want to endorse anybody, but do you know where we can get type 3 flotation devices on island?
So the Marine store has better life jackets. They're expensive though. Here, it's very tough. I would, I would order it.
Okay.
My go-to company no longer ships to the Virgin Islands, which is very sad. Which was swimoutlet.com, and they don't ship here anymore. So you can try Kiefer.com, and I'll put it in the chat at the end. Also Amazon. But on
And it's
Amazon,
type 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you look up your child's weight and size, usually they have one that's made out of neoprene a lot of times instead of plastic, or I don't know, the nylon material. So it's softer.
Okay. And then what you said that there was brush
It's a
polyester?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I know a lot of times Old Navy has great deals, as does Children's Place. And they both ship here, which is important.
Yeah.
All right, if we can go to the next slide, please. All right. Nope, it's a safety toolkit.
Mouse.
Yep, perfect. All right. For children that are on the spectrum, visual schedules for swimming is something that you can have in your safety toolkit. And that just gives you an opportunity to help communicate with your child. Using picture-based schedules can help them understand pool routines or beach routines, entry, exit steps, and expected behaviors during swim time. If you expect them not to throw rocks or sand at the beach, then that needs to be one of your rules. If you're going to allow it, you need to make sure that you understand that you can't do it around other people. We don't want anybody hurt. Running at the pool jumping in a non-designated jumping area. Those are all things that are rules at the pool, and you can help your child have a great, successful swim by making sure that you are communicating with them before you get into the water. Designated safe zones. So every child, no matter what, needs to know that your area is your area, and it needs to be well marked. For children that are on the spectrum, colors play a huge role. If they know that it's their towel, you put it on their chair. Using noodles or their beach toys gives them an opportunity to know that that's where your area is, and they won't wander from that area. It just helps keep them safe. If there's an accident, incident, anything is going on, weather-related emergency, it doesn't matter. Your kids know where their safe zone is and where you will be. So it's really important that no matter what, that you set it up before you guys go to the water. This also gives you an opportunity to make sure that you're ready for your child to get into the water. Using social stories about water safety rules can help. So you may do a storyboard or create a story with your child about what the rules are, understanding the children, learning about boundaries, supervision. If there are lifeguards, that who do they listen to, and helping them with safe behaviors in, on, or near the water helps make sure that you have a successful and safe trip to the water or along the water. Communication aids like picture boards, AAC devices, or symbol cards, so nonverbal children could communicate their needs, like going to the bathroom or being thirsty, that they're hot. Then also waylay some of their fears and distress during water activities. Having certain devices like water shoes or dry clothes when they get out of the water helps with their sensitivity issues. Knowing that you're going to have rinse water available, having a bucket where if they're playing in the sand, they can wash off their hands. And you don't have to keep going down to the water with them. They can play and rinse their toys off. It just helps make sure that they're communicating with you and that they're being clear about what they need. Does anybody have any questions? All right, next slide, please. Okay, this is a hard slide. Neurotypical, non-neurotypical children are 160 times more likely to drown than their neurotypical peers. Children on the autism spectrum are 160 times more likely to drown compared to their neurotypical peers. That is a huge number. Our demographic on this island and in the African American community makes it almost 90% more likely to have a near drowning or drowning experience in our lifetime. Adding being on the spectrum is just heartbreaking, the amount of numbers. 91% of ASD related deaths in children under 14 are due to drowning. Children of color are 68 to 90% more likely to have a near drowning or drowning event in their lifetime. All of these are preventable through water safety awareness and safety precautions. And I can't stress that enough. It is super important that you establish some kind of water safety with your children. It is not just a lifeguard's job, it is our parents' job. As adults and parents, we are our child's first line of defense, and we are with our children more than anyone else. It is super important that you establish water safety rules for your children so that they understand. And you can do it through any of the ways that I've listed. It is truly important that you make sure that you are giving your child an opportunity to be safe in, on, or around the water. If you have any questions or need any suggestions, I would gladly help you. All right, the next slide, please. This is about water comfortability and the timeline that you can use to get your child used to the water. In the Virgin Islands, especially St. Croix, we are surrounded by a lot more water, and our children are exposed to a lot more water sooner than anyone else. Knowing that your child has sensitivity and sensory issues, it should be a slow process. Step one, feet in the water, sit at the edge of the pool, splash their feet, build comfort. This is a slow process just to get them used to the water. That's also a way to get them used to the temperature of the water. Waist deep with support, enter shallow water holding a caregiver's hand. The caregiver should be an adult. These are easy steps, but must be done every single time in the exact same way for children that are on the spectrum so that they are used to the process. It also gives you an opportunity for them to enter the water safely. Using a flotation aid, we use a mat in our swim lessons. We also use kickboards and noodles for them to experience buoyancy. This is a very freeing experience. It's also very fearful. So we do it in very small increments. Just knowing that they can float and be free in the water. Keep in mind that water stimulates every single part of their body all at the same time. So there is a euphoria that comes with it. I mean, from the tips of their hair follicles to the bottoms of their feet, they are being stimulated all at the same time. It's kind of overwhelming for everyone, but for somebody who has sensory issues, or is on the spectrum, sometimes it lights them up and it can be overwhelming. It takes time for them to be able to calm down and be able to learn. For step 4, learning basic strokes and practicing arm and leg movements with guidance. This is more of a swim lesson thing, but you can always practice with your children. A lot of times we do this outside of the water, and then they have muscle memory for inside the water. Step 5 is independent swimming. Your child swims for short distances safely on their own. This can be with a flotation device or without, with parental help or instructor help. This is what we want for all of our children. Once they learn to swim, they rarely forget. It is a life skill that is super important for every single human. But for children on the spectrum, it really does make a huge difference. I have classes specifically for children that are on the spectrum that are slower than our normal swim lessons. Every single child that I've had in that class has been able to be integrated into our regular group lessons. It just gives them a slow start. I know these water comfortability steps go faster here because we do have more access to water, and it is something that we all enjoy. I just want everyone to enjoy it and be safe in, on, and around the water. If anybody has any questions about this, please let me know. We can move on to the next slide. Yes.
We have two persons with their hands raised.
Okay.
Hi,
Go
this is
ahead.
Dawn. So I had a question.
Sure.
We're focusing on children. If you have, or if there's an adult who may suffer with anxiety or may have some discomfort with swimming, what are your recommendations?
So my recommendations for adults, especially with sensitivity or past traumas, is to take an organized swim lesson so that they, especially my swim lessons, we start with them being individualized. So we are dealing with their fears, getting them used to the water, also putting tools in their safety toolkit, how to float, how to tread water, how to figure out how to get to the nearest pool safe exit. We want to make sure that everyone has a comfortability and is able to enjoy the water. For adults, especially, we want to make sure that once they've taken care of their children and they know how to swim, that they are able to come and learn how to swim. For going to the beach here, using a flotation aid, staying where you know you can stand up, practicing all of these same steps is always helpful. Did I answer your question, Ms. O'Brien?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question, Coach Kie.
Yes.
In your experience, have you seen, how should I put it, this development where, as a child, an autistic child,
Mhm.
they loved the water when they were little, swimming with floaters on and really, really good. And now that they've become an adult, they don't want to go near the water.
So every person has developmental steps, cognitive steps that they go through. And what I have found with children that are that have autism is that they go through having organized fear, which usually happens in a neurotypical child about 3 years old. And this is a child that I've had since 6 months. They've always been gung ho, no fear at all. And then all of a sudden, this is a child that could swim. They won't swim. They won't put their head underwater. They won't jump. We have to go all the way back to the very beginning. And all it is that they have organized fear. They've learned that they can hurt themselves, that there is pain associated with things. We have to start over. And once we get over that cognitive milestone, they remember every single thing and they find their joy. So it goes back to step one. And we just go back through it. And eventually they come right back. And it does happen, but it happens as a developmental phase. And it happens differently for children in autism and for adults. I have a lot of adults that knew how to swim when they were a child and don't really swim. And then they realize that they go on vacation and they can't swim. And you just have organized fear now. You know what can happen if you get out too far, or there's marine life that, could cause an accident, or, there's danger. And they become aware of it.
Thank you.
No problem. We can go to the next slide, please. So here are a list of resources for St. Croix. The top one is my business, which is Coach Kie Aquatics, and how you can get in contact with me for swim lessons is my email. There's my phone number. All of our instructors are Red Cross water safety instructors. There's also the St. Croix Swimming Association, the St. Croix Dolphins. There's their phone number. If you're ever in an emergency, an aquatic emergency, you want to make sure that somebody has called 911. It is truly, truly important that they're on their way. And I've also listed the poison control number, which I found out the hard way is not listed in the phone book and not on the directory and not on the non-emergency 911 number, neither the 911 number. So if you ever need it, it's there. I've had to call quite a few times for my own child. So I wanted to make sure that I included it here for you guys as a resource. If anybody has any questions or wants more information. Sure.
Question, Coach Kie. Among the other safety issues, besides going in the water, the sun. We're in the Caribbean, we get a lot of sun all year long. So you want to put sunscreens and those kinds of things.
So
For the marine animals, and some of them are more associated with certain parts of the island. In your experience, which areas around the island that you see as safe zones? Because if you have a child with a disability, they have to manage that first, and you don't want to have them manage all these other things. That might be a safety issue.
So some of the things first for sun safety, I always recommend UV clothing, like the rash guards and a hat over sunscreen, because chemical sunscreen breaks down over time. The numbers on the SPF are the amount of minutes that they last. So if it's 30, it's only 30 minutes. So that's when you go to reapply. If it's 70, it's 70 minutes. For people of color, we do need sunscreen. We need it on our faces, our hands, the back of our necks. But if you don't want to wrestle with your children or yourself, if you put on a rash guard, you don't have to. It doesn't absorb the sun the same way and offers some protection. So you can minimize having to put on the white goop. You need to make sure that it is a reef safe sunscreen, which is a requirement in the Virgin Islands now. That just means that it doesn't break down and have chemicals that kill the coral. And that's super, super, super important. The second part of your question was about marine safety as far as wildlife in the water and surrounding areas, correct?
Yes.
So most beaches that are clear of coral don't have a lot of marine life, but there's quite a few here that do. Keep in mind that urine activates a lot of the anemones that are in the water into stinging. So you want to make sure that you encourage your children or your family to go to the bathroom outside of the water. I know that on the east end of St. Croix, all the way up until Choice, I would say, have a lot of marine life that tend to sting. It is not necessarily jellyfish, which is what it always gets blamed on. Jellyfish only come in when the water is very, very, very calm and you can see them. If there's seagrass, there are anemones that live in the seagrass. The seagrass is the long bladed or the very thin bladed turtle grass that turtles eat. And boats like to skim them and they chop it up, or people like to tromp on them and it breaks those anemones off. And that's what creates the stinging. Because we had the shark attack in Frederickstead You need to be aware of the timing of when you're swimming. You don't want to swim during dusk or dawn. Those are feeding times for marine life. You want to make sure that you are not reactivating any stings by putting fresh water on it. You can use a mineral-based sunscreen or a Benadryl gel to minimize the stinging. I have those in my bag at all times. Sea urchins, you can't pull them out because they are brittle, and they're barbed. So when you go to pull, the barbs go out and it just breaks off in the skin. You can dissolve those with vinegar and hot water as hot as the person can take. All right. Oh, we have 5 minutes. So Miss O'Brien had her hand up.
Yes, quick question. Roughly how many students you have in your classes, and what are their age range?
So I start at 6 months old and I go all the way up to 101 with a doctor's note. We have really small classes, so we only have 4 students per instructor for our regular group lessons. For our gentle beginnings, which is our sensory students and autistic students, we have 2 students per instructor plus a caregiver in the water with our students. So everybody almost has one-on-one, and they have 45 minutes instead of our normal 30 minutes.
Has her hand up as well.
Okay, and then Miss Creaky has her hand up.
Hi, Coach Kie. My question was if a parent on St. Thomas is interested in, signing
Swimming
up their
lessons.
child for swimming lessons, how
So
would that
I
look for
have
you?
quite a few resources for you as well.
Awesome.
There is Coach Amber Knight, who does private swim lessons, and I can give you her contact information. I know that there are free lessons every Saturday with Friends of St. John, so you can go over to St. John. There's also the St. Thomas Swimming Association, but they are not advocates of disability rights, so I don't usually recommend them. So I am located on St. Croix. But for St. Thomas, I will also make sure that I list the recommended instructor.
A question also, I wanted to know if you knew anybody on St. Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
Offers the same thing.
Yes, I do. Let me look up her phone number real quick and give you guys her information. Just give me a second here. I'm so sorry. I'm not organized.
I can also send out an email.
Okay. I know that she is Red Cross certified, and I know UVI also has a program through Howard Gray Wolf, and I can give you their contact information as well. Let me just make sure that I have the right person. Yes. Okay. And just let her know that Coach Kie sent you, and I think that's correct. You guys should be good to go on St. Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me and working with me today. I hope I answered everybody's questions and will keep everybody safe in, on, and around the water.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
again,
Coach
Coach
Kie.
Kie.
I know that Kishma said that we can go to 10 past. So
Okay.
if we have any additional questions, we can take them. If not, then we can close the session. So give a second if anybody else has a question.
And please ask anything that you want. I mean, I have 40 years of experience I've worked all over multiple swim teams. I would also encourage you that if your child does swim really well, that they join the Special Olympics for and they have everything taken care of.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you very
Coach Kie. We
much.
appreciate it.
All
It's
right.
very good information for not just parents, but for ourselves, because water safety is important for everybody.
Yes.
And we have learned certainly from some of the things that you've shared with us this afternoon that if we see some of those hazards, we can point those out to parents as well. So thank you for sharing your time, being generous with your time with us. We appreciate it. And thank you for the folks who joined us. We will be having additional webinars like these, and we will try to keep them between 12 and 1 so folks could sit and have their lunch and participate. So if there are
Yes.
additional information
So somebody would like a reminder of appropriate beach clothing colors. And we want bright, bright colors, reds, pinks, greens, yellows, so that you can see your child or your young adult in the water as well as on the land. It's easily identifiable. And I can have Ms. Kubla send the slides from the presentation to everyone via email.
Right. I was about to ask that. Yes, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, Coach Kie, and
All
thank you,
right.
panelists, and
Bye.
thank you, participants online. See you on our next webinar. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, thank you. If anybody's interested, we're having another webinar July 9th with vocational rehab. So it's Kimberly Washington. She's the administrator for vocational rehab. And it's going to be at noon on the July 9th. Thank you.